This is my thoughts on how to choose a digital art teacher. And I'm going to use as an example my experience as a magician. I've been doing magic for a long, long time, over 35 years. And there are two types of magicians. There are technicians and performers. A technician is basically called an armchair magician because what they do is they create magic, original effects to please magicians. They don't create them or have experience with the general public to see or come up with a commercial routine. They come up with a routine that a magician would go, whoa, that's cool. And from experience, it's usually the dumbest routines or pattern that is not audience tested, except to other magicians. And in most cases, in magic books or videos created, the technician will say, do not follow my routine, word for word, come up with your own routine. And that was my job, basically. I didn't work for magic shops, but I was one of the most successful performing magicians in New York City, performing every night, sometimes 2 or 3 clubs, 365 days a year. So these magic shops, like Tannen's and other magic shops in New York City, would loan me these new tricks and say, come up with a routine. So I would take the trick, I'd practice it for a while, and then go out and work an audience and see where the trick really hits the audience and come up with some routine. And I did that for a long, long time. Now, how that works in getting an art teacher or buying tutorials, and I'm not doing this to sell my own tutorials, but you have to ask yourself, okay, here's this guy or girl doing these tutorials and selling them to me, or brushes for coral painter or stuff. They're selling them to me because, to me, it looks good. So you have to ask yourself, are you looking at it from a technician's point of view? Are you being sold because it looks good to you? You have to ask these teachers, are you selling your work to the general public? And if not, why? Why do you want to sell me a brush that looks good to me, but nobody's going to buy my artwork in the public? Isn't having people buy your stuff what's important? Or is it just important for you to paint a picture, put it up on Facebook somewhere, and have a bunch of other technicians or armchair painters click like? I'm afraid people just click like, not to say that they like it, but to say that they saw it. So you have to ask them, are you selling your artwork to the general public? And if so, what tutorial are you using, or what method are you using the most that sells to the people that people go, oh, geez, this is awesome. What is that technique? And sell me that. Which one do you use the most? And sell me that. When I was performing magic, I still perform once in a while, usually at Coney Island. But when I was performing it on a regular basis, I didn't stick to one area of magic. In other words, there's comedy magic. There's mentalisms where you bend spoons and all of that stuff. I did everything. I was like a doctor, a general practitioner, somewhere where you go to, that is not a specialist. Not an eye, ear, nose, and throat guy. You go to a general practitioner. Same thing. You got to stop and ask yourself, am I spending lots and lots of money on paintings or ways of doing paintings that nobody's buying? The general public is not buying. People buy my artwork. And people who are a member of my group, Attack Digital Art, they know. Because I stick it up there once in a while of my art that's being sold. And a lot of the members at TAC who read my posts about get your artwork out there, they who have never sold before, within the last year, are doing commissions, getting stuff up in galleries, and selling art to the general public. They're doing that because they need to know the basics, which is get yourself a teacher who is selling to the general public, because you're only being fooled by these guys who are creating tutorials to impress you and to impress other painters. Well, let me tell you, other painters are not going to buy your artwork. So, that's all I got to say about that. Oh, by the way, this is a magazine write-up because I was lucky enough to get into a pair of handcuffs that Houdini owned and locked away, like he locked away a lot of his stuff. And as far as anybody knows, I was the first person in over 65 years to escape from them or to put them on. So the last person to wear these cuffs was Houdini. So I had to put something up, so I put that up. So I hope you kind of agree with what I'm saying. Are you buying these tutorials because you like them? And if you're buying the tutorials because, you just like doing these paintings and stuff like that, that's cool. I'm not saying anything against that. It's a hobby. It's something that you enjoy, and you enjoy the outcome. But if it's for any other reason, if you think, wow, gee, this guy drew a picture in Photoshop using these brushes, oh, I got news for you. It's not going to sell. Anyways, cool? All right, bye.